Welcome to the David Spisak Show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I am very pleased to introduce you to a gentleman that you may not know right now, but I believe by the end of this episode, you're going to be really glad that you did. Let me introduce you to Diego Vargas. Diego is a 30-year plus veteran of retail automotive, and many of you may not know him, but I think you're going to be really interested in his story, in his passion, and what he's done in the industry, what he's learned, and what it means for dealers as you go forward in 2025. So first and foremost, Diego Vargas, I know of another friend of all things named Diego Garcia. Diego Vargas, Vice President of Dealer Services for VinCue. Welcome to the program. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Great to be here. Thanks for taking a few minutes to chat about our beloved industry. Great to be able to think a little bit about it.
I'm happy to do it. I never get tired of it. You know, I always say I've got the curiosity of a 4-year-old, Diego, and I've got the passion for this industry like it was literally my first day. I think it's just such a fascinating business, don't you?
Absolutely, and you have to remain curious. In fact, you know that this technology moves at such a rate where if you don't remain curious and act on some of that curiosity, well, you get left behind in a second, right? So
it's an interesting point. I'm glad that you brought it up. I've always had this unreasonable amount of curiosity, but I really believe that curiosity is a superpower. And I think, based on what you said, that those who are most curious going forward in this industry are likely to always have a competitive advantage. But let's start with this. So you've been in this business for over 3 decades. How did you get into the car business?
Well, I came from the finance industry and I needed a job and decided that I didn't have the book of business then required for me to be able to sell, the finance instrument that I was representing. So it was suggested that I would go sell cars for a little while and create a book of business so that I could then go and sell my wares on the finance side of things. And I did that. I, in fact, went and sold cars for 2 years and, created a book of business and went back to this institution and said, here's my book of business. And then I was hired and I was did well with that industry. And then all of a sudden I missed the car business.
It grabs you, doesn't it, Diego?
Absolutely.
This business has this an ability just to kind of grab a hold of you.
It did. So I ran through the positions and, had the opportunity to learn more and more and run a few stores and continue being curious about what happened, what is happening in our industry, and left retail 17 years ago or so. And have had the great opportunity to be exposed to, on the technology side to help dealerships trying to achieve what they're trying to achieve in this ever-changing environment. Right?
So and you left 17 years ago and decided to make the transition from being inside the store to outside the store, still in the industry, but aligning yourself with a technology solution, yes?
Correct.
Why?
So, because I was interested to learn what software was going to be able to do to help dealerships run the operation.
And you were when you made that move, you were predominantly in the used car side of the industry?
Well, both. I was running stores and I was managing the operation of the dealership. So both new and used vehicles.
Okay. And then when you went to work for the technology side, though, that for that period of time, since you've been in technology, has it been predominantly on both new and used or used?
Correct. Both new and used.
Both. Okay.
Yeah, correct. And being able to help dealerships I'm sorry?
And what have you learned?
Well, I've learned that technology moves so fast that is difficult to keep an eye on how technology is moving, how quickly it's moving, and for what it brings to be able to be absorbed by the average user. And that curiosity that you mentioned is absolutely necessary to not only have alive, but to become a true partner with dealerships in understanding what their objective was and being a hand and utilizing that technology to achieve what they wanted to achieve.
And when you no, keep going, Diego.
No, I'm just maybe even somewhat idealistic about that. That's my passion. I respect the dealer body. I was fortunate to be taught by some great operators and have met incredible people in the industry. And it's satisfying to me to understand what dealerships are trying to achieve and to help them find strategies given the software that can help them do that. Creating processes through it, and calling out processes and coaching, if allowed, for them to achieve their objective. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing. Now, being exposed to the technology that exists, being exposed to and having the curiosity that, I think is necessary in this, again, I mentioned ever-changing business. I think that gives me the ability to help, a little grain of salt and help in the industry. I believe I had some successes, in helping a few people and be able to achieve what they wanted to do. Love it. Just love it.
You've mentioned, if I just tune in, really focus on what you've said, a couple things jump out. Technology is one, helping dealers is the other. And you've spent last 15, 16, 17 years with the intention of leveraging technology to help dealers solve problems, pain points, help them take advantages of opportunities. My curiosity right now is, over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, and especially focus on the last year or two, Diego, what have you heard from dealers? What's on the top of their mind? What's their focus? What's their biggest opportunities? What's their biggest pain points? What are their biggest challenges?
Yeah, well, last couple of years, I think is remembering what the automotive retail industry is, and that through COVID, things looked a little different. Transactions were easier, right? I think that in the last couple of years, remembering that we had to, a lot of us have said this, let's go back to basics and understand that we need to manage the basics and manage the priorities. It's what's important, and I've heard and seen the pain points that exist. Hey, it could be happening again. Today there's a lot of conversation about the stickiness of inflation. And if that is the case, interest rates may not move as quickly as we thought, which is going to create yet a further expense in flooring new vehicles. And, that's not something that we had to think about through COVID.
So Diego, you bring up, I think, what is a valid point. I think there's a tremendous amount of optimism generally in the industry, with people in the industry, dealers, managers, and associates, because of the new administration coming in. And I think there's a tremendous amount of hope and optimism around that. But with that being said, we saw the stock market, rocket up right away, and then it kind of settled down to being what it normally is. And, we've seen interest rates drop 3 consecutive times. We're likely to see more, but we're probably not going to see interest rates drop as much as we would like to get back to where we were a few years ago. And frankly, they have to be careful, right? Because if you drop interest rates too much too fast, then inflation is likely to get triggered, and that's not a good thing in the long run. So all of that tends to have a more pronounced impact on new cars. Diego, it's my feeling that as we go forward, that while, used cars used to be the icing on the cake, I think used cars are the cake now. I mean, I think if I'm a retailer right now, new car franchise retailer, I would have to think that while I will always want to be the best partner I can to my OEM, I'll always do everything I can to sell as many cars. The reality is there's a big affordability issue that remains there. But used cars, I don't have any restrictions. I don't have restrictions on what I can sell, what my inventory is, how many cars I can buy, what cars I buy, the average costs, how I market them, how I price them. So would you agree in used cars that there's a tremendous opportunity?
Yeah, no question. Well, let's see. I mean, if we go back to the beginning of the conversation, I don't know, a long time I learned that the road is littered by, with cadavers of market timers. I mean, you need to be cautious and recognize that at the end, when you have to be, again, curious and aware of what market conditions are and have processes and the right processes in place to react, to that market and to do it, and quickly and be nimble enough to do it. So, which is one of the reasons why I joined this company. But now,
you're talking about your position today as vice president of dealer services for VinCue, right?
Correct. So,
what fascinated you about VinCue? I mean, what is it that really kind of grabbed your attention about VinCue? Because I'm guessing you had to be at a point where you said, hey, I've got a lot of experience in this industry. I've learned a lot. I've helped dealers over the course of the last 15 years in technology. And I'm guessing that you the team, whether it's a leadership team and the technology itself, I'm guessing, did you look at that and say, man, if I could combine that with who I am and what I know, I could do some great things in the industry? Was that the thought process?
Yeah, I could be of help, okay, to the industry humbly and or to the dealer body, right? And if we attach that thought to your question and point about used cars, our industry, automotive industry, is filled of incredible entrepreneurs, right? I mean, they're just great people, okay, great business people that always find a way to do well in whatever market. And I think that the used vehicle department is one that is really gives them the ability to be that entrepreneur, to be that individual that can think out of the box, okay, in creating additional opportunities. Not to mention that, a used vehicle transaction touches a lot of families in a dealership. When you think about it, a great operator taught me that, it does, it touches the family of the parts guy, the service person, the salesperson, the office. It touches every family at a dealership, and it creates even more transactions. As to why I decided to partner with this company is, and we were talking a little bit about technology a bit ago. Yeah, it moves fast, okay, and there is the need to be able to personalize, the application of the software specific to a dealer, and to be able to do more things in just one place. They have famous AI, that exists. The utilization of AI, or proper utilization of AI, it's important. Being nimble enough to change quick given market conditions, and being nimble enough to change based on the client need is important. If I'm going to be true to what I want to do and help in dealerships, and I believe that is the case here. So that's why that's the reason behind this company, and that's the reason why I think the used car department, I agree with you 100%. I think is the one part in our industry that can help the dealerships the most. And really the one that requires a lot of attention, most close attention, and the one that requires a lot more inspection, I think, right? And being curious about. I hope that answers, sort of what you're asking.
Yeah, I had the opportunity, I did a virtual used car event back in November, Diego, and I had the opportunity to have some really remarkable people on. Joe Blanco's the used car director for a really tremendous organization, the Sheehy Auto Group, 20 stores. Adam Aarons, who I've known for quite some time, and I found out that Adam Aarons uses your product, your VinCue product, and really relies on it in order to drive his business and maximize his outcomes. And Danny Zavzlowski, who is, I think, one of the hardest working, energetic, passionate guys about the industry. If anybody hasn't hung out with Danny, spend 30 minutes with him at NADA and you'll absolutely walk away seeing what I mean. This is a highly intelligent, smart guy. Came up in the business literally, I think, from diapers on up from his dad in his used car operation. And just continues to have this passion to wanting to help dealers like you solve problems. And so, there's some really good dealers out there today that are, in my mind, are true innovators. And I've had the good fortune of speaking with some of them, and a number of them, Joe Blanco, Boris Lopez, Adam Aarons, participated in my event, and those gentlemen all are VinCue users, and they certainly, what's interesting to me is they mirror that passion that you have. They mirror that passion that Danny has, which tells me they're not just users of the product, but they're advocates. And people don't get to be advocates for any product, as you know, unless it's transformative, unless it really makes a difference for them and for their organizations. In your mind, I'm curious, as you looked at that VinCue product, previously you worked for what company?
I worked for Viato for 16 years.
Okay, so you worked for Viato. Viato, man, thousands and thousands of dealers have used Viato over the last couple of decades. And, would you consider, where you came from with Viato, maybe whether it's relative to the approach and also in terms of the technology? I'm curious. I don't know. I've had some good conversations with some dealers out there that talk to me about VinCue. I'm curious from your perspective, because you have tremendous experience with the product Viato and seeing how dealers use it. What is it that makes VinCue, in your mind, so remarkable, so differentiated, so capable of taking dealers to another level?
Yeah, I think that it's a more nimble place. It's a place, as I mentioned before, that is more able to personalize the user experience. I think that it's a place that you mentioned outcomes a bit ago, and trying to drive outcomes instead of focusing on KPIs. But all of this, while interesting, is really surrounded by a very great, cool culture. You were just talking about Danny, and we haven't talked about Chris, and the culture is one that is driving, this growth, that is driving this curiosity, that is driving this service, belief behind all that we're discussing. And at the end, it's all culture, right? I mean, that's where things start.
What does culture mean, though? If somebody's listening, maybe they're working somewhere else, or maybe they're a dealer and they're saying, hey, one thing I know about dealers today, Diego, dealers aren't looking for vendors, right? They don't want to deal with a vendor. They want to deal with a partner, right?
Correct.
And from your perspective, is that what you mean? Having a culture internally sounds like a culture you're referring to that has this passion to solve problems and to innovate, reinvent. or is it the culture of wanting to be a true business partner to dealers, or is it sounds like both?
It's a combination of both. It's a combination of both, right?
So talk about that. If you're a dealer that deals with vendors on a regular basis, and you're like, man, I don't experience that. I don't get that. What is it that they should expect from you in your position as the VP of Dealer Services, and what is it that they can expect from you or from VinCue that's different?
Yeah, I think that what they should expect is for me to understand what it is that they want to accomplish. That first. Who do they see themselves being, and what do they want to accomplish? And if they are not clear on that, to be able to have a partner that they can have that conversation with. That first. So they should not expect me to have a conversation about just software. Once we have a conversation about what they want to accomplish and what the objective is, then we can begin having conversations about what different strategies could be applied, given the software, and, who might or not be responsible for handling the processes, and for us to partner with them, really, caring, not just caring, but going at it together. I mean, that's what I'm interested in. I guess I couldn't be more true to that. I'm not interested in being a vendor. I'm interested in continuing to learn. I know this industry is going to change fast. And because I am exposed to how it's changing, then I have this great opportunity to share with those that might not be exposed to things as they change, for the benefit of, their business and the industry. And that is the culture of the company.
How long have you worked for the company?
I just started.
Really? How long ago?
A week.
Oh my goodness! So you are
we've been
absolutely
chatting for
fresh.
quite a bit.
Nice.
We've been chatting for quite a bit. It was not a. This was not a quick decision.
A knee-jerk decision.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Interesting. What was the tipping point that made you say, in conversations that you're having with yourself, or maybe even with family, made you say, yeah, I need to do this?
It was really the interaction that I had with Danny and Chris, and that it was the way we were able to communicate and chat, okay, with no expectation, and they were very true to every conversation that we had. What they said was what they meant, and what they said is what they did. And I find myself a time in my life where that's important. It's more important than anything. And as I mentioned, somewhat idealist, but I want to help the dealer in the industry, not because I have to, but because it's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I find this culture to be. And I'm excited to be here and doing it. I have experienced it before. Yeah.
So as you go forward, you're going to be at NADA.
I am.
What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of faces that I probably know. I'm looking forward to having conversations about what is the opportunity that exists and how we can be a help, to the opportunities that exist in the dealer body. I'm looking forward to being there now, because I've been in NAD, obviously, with a little bit of, I don't know. I feel like you feel like a 4-year-old with curiosity. I feel like a teenager full of energy again. And
I love it.
I'm looking forward to that. How's that?
So I love that answer. So you undoubtedly have, many, many relationships with dealer clients. Over how long were you working with vAuto?
16 years.
16 years. So over 16 years, you undoubtedly have a ton of experience and interactions and relationships you've built. Is part of that energy and excitement, because as you worked with dealers, and dealers have a need to evolve, to get better, because every year our world changes. Every year the industry changes. Every year there's new challenges, new opportunities, right? The game kind of shifts constantly. And, I don't know, I'm wondering if some of that energy is coming from the fact that you're moving towards a product that you've heard dealers themselves talk about saying, because of this, I'm able to go and do things I was not able to do necessarily with other products, including Viato. And now I have the ability to evolve and to reinvent, get better, be more competitive, be more profitable, sell more cars, whatever it might be. And is that part of what gets you excited to talk to people and to be there this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm excited about being able to offer an alternative and a solution, as I mentioned earlier, that can be tailored, right, and is nimble enough to address the needs of a dealer. That's what I'm passionate and excited about. And that this product is able to provide that to that dealer body. And I have wonderful relationships. I've created wonderful relationships throughout my career, and I hope to continue to do that. Okay, relationships are very important, but in order to continue to have them, you have to be able to provide what is best, right, and it's needed for our partners or my partners. Right? So I'm excited about that. I think I'm in a place where we can provide that.
I love that. When you look at the advanced modern technology that VinCue seems to have, the innovation that's in that product that I've heard from some of the dealers I've spoken to, what is it in your mind that VinCue has, features, functionality in the product? What is it that makes VinCue a cut above that allows dealers, as you said, to move forward that they don't currently have with a product like Viato?
Well, it could all be done in one place to start with, okay, as opposed to different applications, and that's important, okay? The application of data and AI within the product, okay, is another one, okay, that it's also very important, okay? You were talking about the used car department, okay, and how different it was in the rest of the dealership operations. Well, acquisition is really, and will continue to be, a hurdle or a problem to solve. And the opportunities that this product has on the acquisition side of things and the data behind the acquisition side of things, okay, I think that far surpass, other applications out there. So first, let's keep it simple, right? It's really fun to sell cars, but first you got to have them. So being able to have the technology that can help with that is so important. So I'm excited to work with that. Listen, it's not too complicated, right? I have to have the right cars. I have to make sure that I price them correctly. I got to make sure that I merchandise them correctly. Got to make sure that I have the right sales process and that I understand, what is happening in the fixed ops side of things. And this tool gives you the ability to handle all of those in one place. That's big. That's big.
So, I mean, one thing I hear from dealers all the time is they've gotten to a tipping point. It's become untenable. They don't want to deal with, an unreasonable amount of vendors and write a lot of different checks and log into a lot of different things and become masters and learn a lot of different things, deal with the training teams from a lot of different places, support from a lot of different places. What you're saying is, hey, what if we streamline that? What if we allow you to log in and do everything you need to do to get from point A to point B, and you didn't have to deal with all those teams. You didn't have to write all those different checks. You didn't have to master all these different products. You don't have to find the time to utilize all of these different individual disparate systems. You could do it all in one seamless process. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's absolutely. This omni-channel application is a big thing, right? And absolutely that exists. And hey, it's only going to get better. It's only going to it's going to grow and get better and get better. And I think that, it's really great. And we're talking a little bit about culture and being able to serve the industry and then having the technology behind it. So we'll take it from there. If we have the right culture and the right technology and the right application, the right drive and the right passion, things happen. Okay, then we can have conversations about, the process and the appraisal and the pricing, and we can help. Okay, and be a source in the industry to do things more efficiently and better for all of us. So that's the idea, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it.
I don't blame you. I would be super excited about it as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you and stopping by the booth and being able to kind of feel the energy in the booth and hopefully talk to some more current VinCue dealers and perhaps some potential VinCue dealers who are themselves wanting to learn more about, hey, what is this that makes it so different from the same product I've had for the last maybe 10, 12, 15, 18 years? And, certainly not to take away from anybody's product, but I can't help but think, I watch CNBC all the time, every single morning early, and I love hearing about innovation. I love hearing about companies that are creating things that will become a big part of our lives 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. And oftentimes I hear about, what's referred to as the Mag 7, right, which is Alphabet and Tesla and Meta, NVIDIA, who am I missing? Google is Alphabet. Missing somebody else. Who is it? But these companies, Apple, Microsoft, these companies are all relentlessly pursuing innovation that's going to allow people to do things that are seemingly unimaginable. And to make that happen, it takes true innovation. It takes new technology. It takes a modern architecture. It takes to be able to have a platform that is seamless, simple, easy, right? And I can't help but think for any company that's out there, the reason why these companies are so darn valuable is the number of big companies, Diego, that every one of them will utilize in some form or fashion some or most or all of those companies to get from where they are to where they want to be. And I can't help but think as you're talking to me that for dealers out there, certainly people that use your product today and undoubtedly those that are curious or those themselves and want to come to the booth and learn more, they've got to be thinking, if I want to become future-proof, if I want to become more viable, more competitive in the future, if I want to get better in the future, I can't do it with products from the past. Is that a fair statement?
It's time, right? It's time. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, technology is exponential. And to keep with that technology, you need the drive and that innovation and that burning curiosity, okay, to stay with that. There's no question about that. And that's I hope is coming across. I'm feeling it. And that's what I see here and I feel here. And I think that what we can offer. All these big companies started this way, right? So here we come.
So why do you say it's time? Where does that come from?
Because I think that it's time. I think it's time for us as an industry to recognize that we have to act, okay, on that curiosity and remain studious, on what opportunities exist out there that can enhance our current position. So It's time to do that. It's time to see what else, could be utilized that furthers my position from where I'm currently at. Otherwise, as technology moves rapidly, I could be left behind.
And I think any dealer and manager in a dealership That's something I think that all of us have to consider. Diego, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me. I know this has to be a very busy time for you if you're just starting in this new and exciting position.
A little busy.
If you're going to be at NADA 2025, sounds like you are. I look forward to having the opportunity to swing by the booth and having the opportunity to meet you. And hopefully I'll have a chance, like I said, to see some of the other members of the VinCue team and learn more about what they see in 2025, how they're helping dealers, and hopefully talk to even some more, as I said, of the VinCue dealers out there. But thank you. I really appreciate it. I love the backstory. I love the fact that you're 30 years in this history. I love that you're yet another person that had no design or intention to end up right here 30 years later in retail auto, but yet here we are. Right? So, and thank you for what you do to help dealers out there in the industry grow and become more successful and more profitable for those. So thank you for taking the time to join me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Looking forward to continuing to chat and, continuing to battle out there. It's a great time. It's a wonderful time in the car business.
I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be a fantastic year. For anybody who's going to be at 2025 NADA, please look me up. Feel free to reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, and we could certainly connect there and hopefully make even plans to meet up sometime during NADA. For anybody who has a friend in the industry who's interested in growing their dealership, wanting to learn more about used cars, feel free to go to davidspisak.com. You could grab this episode. You could grab show notes. You can even grab information on how to connect with Diego and hopefully tap his brain and his 30 years of experience of what's worked and what hasn't worked, and mostly what he's excited about in this new position. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the David Spisak Show. Thanks so much. See you soon. And Diego, thank you.